Everyone, welcome to day 3 of Resume Week. So far, you should have created or updated your resume with your current contact info, your education, relevant work, coursework, basic information for all your experiences you'd like to include. Today, we're going to work on ways to describe your experiences so that you can market yourself to employers and applicant tracking systems to increase your chances of getting farther along in the application process. So first, I want to go over some basic best practices for when it comes to describing your experiences. First, always use bullet points to create a list. This not only looks really nice, but it also is much easier to read rather than long paragraphs. In general, you want to keep your list to about 3 to 7 bullet points for each experience, but this is just the general guideline. Like everything else when it comes to resume writing, it really depends on your experience. For some experiences, you may have only 1 or 2 bullet points, and that might be sufficient. But for others, maybe 8 bullet points are needed because maybe you've been in a position for a long time and you have a lot of additional responsibilities or something like that. It probably goes without saying, but of course, you should never lie or exaggerate information on your resume or any other application materials. You will not do yourself any favors by doing so, and to my knowledge, employers may even have the ability to terminate employees if it is found out later that they have lied on their application materials. So please just don't do this. Next, you want to make sure that you are concise. You want to be descriptive so the employer gets a really good idea of what you did during each experience, but you do not want each sentence to be too wordy so that it's really long and it takes up a lot of space. It's a good idea to try keeping each bullet point to just 1 sentence, so that way it's only 1 line on your resume when possible. Of course, there may be instances where what you want to say will go on to 2 lines, and that's okay, but remember that resumes are limited real estate space. So the less space that you can use to get your point across, the better. It also allows you more room to include additional information elsewhere if needed. If you have more than 1 bullet point, a couple that are related to one another, see if you can use a semicolon and combine them into 1 sentence and therefore just 1 line if it makes sense to do so. You also want to start each sentence with a powerful action verb. For your reference, a list of action verbs was attached to the instructional email you received today. As I mentioned in an earlier video, you do not want to use personal pronouns, so there's no need for you to say, I was responsible for, or something similar. The resume is about you. The employer already knows that you are the one who did these things and accomplished all of these great items that you're going to be talking about in your document. When you are using action verbs, you want to make sure that you use a different action verb for each sentence that you write and that you are not repeating yourself. In the event that the same verb makes sense for more than 1 bullet point, just use a synonym for that word. Matching the language used in your resume to the job or internship description whenever possible is also very important. This is one of those things that comes into play when you are applying to a specific position and customizing your resume for that opportunity. For instance, one employer may use the word youth, and another employer may use the word children or young adults in their job description. You want the language that you use in your resume to match the employer's job description whenever possible. So for example, if the employer says youth on their resume and you have experience working with kids, you do not want to say kids or children, you want to say youth. As I mentioned the other day, many employers use applicant tracking systems to sort of screen and filter applicants to recruiters. These applicant tracking systems are looking for keywords on your resume that are in the job description. The more keywords that you have on your resume, the greater the match you are, so to speak, between yourself and that job description to this software, and the greater the likelihood that you will be viewed as a match and therefore a stronger candidate with higher chances of being recommended to a recruiter for them to take a closer look at you. You also want to quantify when you can. Employers love to see numbers and results. For instance, maybe you're a key holder or a part-time leader somewhere and you supervise or you help train 2 or 3 employees at a time. Maybe you're a waiter and you take care of 15 tables in your section every night that you have a shift. Or maybe you're a sales person and you have a sales goal of a certain dollar amount or number of items you are supposed to sell every time you go to work, and you are really good at meeting that goal or exceeding it. If you use numbers and make your bullet points stronger, it helps communicate the magnitude of all of your skills to employers. And then, of course, you want to avoid writing the obvious, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. So now that you know some basics, how exactly do you write really good bullet points? It can get really, really easy to simply rewrite your job or internship description, what you were hired to do. But your bullet points should be more than that. As I just mentioned, you want to avoid writing the obvious. If you are a cook right now, the employer can assume from your job title that you are preparing food. If you're a cashier, the employer likely knows that you're counting money and processing transactions just from your job title. So a potential employer is interested in what the job involves, of course, but at the end of the day, they're really interested in you and they're thinking about hiring you. So your bullet points should help the employer get to know you, what you're good at, how you contribute to teams, and what you might be able to do for them if you are hired. So some great questions to ask yourself that can help you write bullet points are things like, did I do anything that went above and beyond what I was hired for? For example, maybe you're a sales associate somewhere and now you train others, like I mentioned earlier. Have you been recognized at this position for anything? Have you been promoted? Have you received Employee of the Month? Have you won contests? Anything like that? What are you really good at your job? Maybe you work in customer service and you have a lot of patience with customers and especially angry customers. Maybe you always seem to be able to resolve complaints and get the customer to leave happy. Or maybe you're really, really good at managing your time and working really quickly to make sure that your task is completed on time. Or maybe your managers know that you're really accurate, and if they ask you to do a task, you're going to do it right the first time. So some people may struggle with this task because they might think, oh, I'm just a cashier, or, oh, I'm just a, whatever it is. But you are never just anything. So please, please remember that. Every single experience you have, even if it's not exactly where you want to be right now, it's all teaching you skills that will help you in your current role and help you transfer into new roles and where you want to be. So you have so much talent to offer, and career services can help you figure out the best way possible to communicate that to employers. So with today's email, a confidence building worksheet was attached. Please look this over. It has a lot of questions for you to ask yourself to help you start thinking about what you should write for each of the experiences on your resume. You don't have to fill it out. You don't need to turn it into us or anything like that. It's just a tool for you to use for your reference now and in the future as you write or update your resume. Also, a job description versus a self-comparison sheet was also attached. This can be really helpful later on when you're actually applying to a specific position. It helps you take the job description from the employer and compare it to yourself to try to figure out what exactly you should highlight on your resume based on that job description. So your only tasks for today are to review the confidence building worksheet and then write bullet points out for each of the experiences you gathered basic information for yesterday. So stay tuned for day 4, and of course, reach out to us with any questions.